Good afternoon, boys and girls. We are now dealing with equivalent fractions. I will say that if you haven't watched the videos on multiples or factors, you might want to do that first. Those are what we call a prerequisite, which is what you need to know beforehand to this. So if you haven't watched the first two videos on multiples and factors, and you might want to go check it out. But if you think you're comfortable enough with multiples and factors that you can start this, let's start. So when we're dealing with equivalent fractions, we're basically trying to write a fraction two different ways so that it kind of means the same thing. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to write 1/4. Now, in third grade, you learned that this means that there are 4 total pieces in the denominator. The denominator tells you how many pieces there are all together. The numerator tells you how many pieces you've taken. So here this is 1 out of 4 pieces of pizza or what have you. But sometimes you can cut those slices of pizza smaller. So what you can do is instead of cutting them into 4 slices, you can cut it into 8 slices. But if I'm hungry and I still want to have a whole slice, or the same amount of what a whole slice would be, I might have to have 2 slices. Let me show you what that looks like down here. So I have a pizza. I cut it into 4 slices. Okay, I'm going to try my best to make sure they're equal because fractions are equal parts. I've eaten 1 whole piece if I cut it into 4 pieces. If I cut it into 8 pieces, I've now eaten 2. So I didn't eat any more, it just looks like I ate more. So this is what we call an equivalent fraction. Now I'm going to show you the rule as to how to figure out the numbered part. We figured out what it looks like. It looks like I've taken 1 piece out of the 4 pieces first. Then if I cut them into smaller pieces, I've taken 2 out of 8. But this is actually equal. Let me show you how we know this. When you're dealing with equivalent fractions, there's a rule. You want to make sure that the denominators, which are the numbers on the bottom, are the same. If they're not the same, you're going to have a tough time understanding how to compare them. So what I do is I try to figure out, what's a number that both of these denominators can go into? 4 can go into 8, 8 can go into 8. So I can change this to 2 8s, but there's a rule that I have to follow. If I go from here to here, I did times 2. But if I'm going to change the bottom, I've got to change the top. So I'm going to use the same rule, times 2. So since I did the same thing on the bottom and the top, these are equal. Let's try a different one now without any pictures, with just the math part. Okay. 3/5. How can I make an equal fraction that to 3/5? Well, all I have to do is pick a rule. I can multiply it by 2, I can multiply it by 3, I can multiply it by 4, whatever I want. I just need to make sure whatever I multiply the top by, I multiply the bottom by. So let's pick a number. Let's pick 3. I'm going to make an equivalent fraction to 3/5. I'm going to pick my rule of 3 times 3. And I'm going to do the same thing here, times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 5 times 3 is 15. 3/5 is equal to 9/15. Let's try one more. Let's try a little bit more of a difficult one. 4/7. Let's make an equivalent fraction to 4/7. Let's multiply.
Cesar Rosario, please come to the office. Cesar Rosario to the office.
Let's multiply by 5. I have to follow the same rule. 4 times 5 equals 20. What do you think would go on the bottom? I have to follow my same rule. Times 5. 7 times 5 is 35. Now, you could also go the other direction. For example, if this
Miss Woods, please call the office, Miss Woods.
if this was your fraction first, you could also divide by 5, because remember, you can when you're doing multiplication and division, they can flip-flop. All right? Good luck.